I'm so sorry. Here we are, technical difficulties. You know, when you've had one of those days, everything you touch just goes the wrong way. And oh my God, it's been one of those days. And my computer, for some reason, decided to just not want to do anything tonight. And everything that I have put on to upload, it will not play. And it's all right. So my computer and I will be having very big words later on today. So sorry for the delay. Thanks so much for being patient. Welcome to Wicked Women. We are a little bit late, and hopefully you'll stay with us for the whole time. I'm coming from South London, live from you, and we're also coming live from Virginia tonight. Really interesting show last week with Mark English. Went down a storm. And some people agreed, some people disagreed, but it was a really good show. And there were so many questions that people wanted to ask Mark. So he has said he will come back and finish it. I'm so sorry if my computer's just running slow. I'm going to beat it later. So next week, we'll talk about it at the end of the show. But we got a show for you next week. In the meantime, we've got a really good show tonight. And this show's kind of personal to me, actually. A few people I've spoken to this week have all expressed to me that this is how they feel or are feeling. And it's a particular subject that's kind of close to my heart because I have been feeling it too. Now, you probably saw she says, putting the glasses on, you probably saw in the intro, we're talking about Lost. And before I bring Michael in to join with the conversation, I wanted to bring up something personally from myself, which I wrote down earlier on because I wanted to try and express my emotions about it or where I am. And some of you guys might even understand. So there's a particular kind of loneliness that only a woman in her 50s understands, because it's not teenage heartbreak. It's not dramatic chaos. It's quieter than that. It's the moment when you look at your life and you realize you've been strong for everyone, but somewhere along the way, you stop being honest with you. And feeling lost at this stage of life isn't about not knowing where you are. It's about realizing you do know, but the life around you no longer is reflecting it. And that's something I can really, really get behind. Now, if you're in a relationship and you are in your 50s and it feels like you're living beside someone, existing beside someone instead of with them, that can be pretty lonely. Sometimes it's sharing space, but not feeling seen with them. It's talking logistics, but not talking truth. It's wondering whether you've become more of a habit than actually a true partner. And you ask yourself questions for those that are in a relationship. Is this love or is this comfort? Is this loyalty or fear? Why am I staying? Have I grown or have they not grown or have we not grown? And then there's the other side to it. The woman who isn't in a relationship, like myself, the woman who refuses to settle, the woman who knows her worth now. And it's taken me a god load of years to actually work that one out, let me tell you that. The woman who knows her worth now, who has done the compromise, who has done the shrinking, who's done the emotional labor. And she thinks to herself, well, I'd rather be alone than lonely in a relationship. But some nights, I got to tell you, it feels really heavy. And you start thinking to yourself, where am I going? What am I doing? I feel like I'm on a roundabout and I can't get off. I feel trapped as if I'm walking in honey. Have I missed my chance? Is that window of opportunity closed? Is everyone decent out there already taken? Probably. Am I too independent? That is 100%. Am I too independent? Too aware and too unwilling to tolerate the bare minimum. And I think as we all get older, we become unwilling to settle for the bare minimum because we've been there, done it, ticked it off. We know what we want. We know what we don't want. And also, we say to ourselves, do we want to be alone forever? What does that look like? And I am very independent. Yes, I am. I've had to be. No other option in my life. When you refuse to settle, your dating pool shrinks, but your self-respect grows. And that's something I think is no price on. Growth can feel isolating, but it also feels empowering. Sometimes when you're searching for love or searching for whatever it is you feel that you're looking for, it can feel tough going because you're no longer willing to abandon yourself to keep someone else. And that changes everything, because in the past you might have gone, I'll give, and I'm willing to give this. But now I deserve that 50%. If I'm giving 50, they give 50, and there's 100% of the relationship. And also, this is a very true fact. You stop waiting to be chosen. You choose yourself first. You build a life that feels rich, full, and meaningful with or without a partner. You reconnect with your body, trying to do that, your voice, your sensuality, your boundaries, your standards. And you start asking, if you're in a relationship, does this person deserve me? Does this person actually deserve access to me? Because when you're lost inside a relationship, you start pretending everything is fine. You have to initiate the hard conversations, and you stop performing. You stop just going along with the flow, because you risk disruption in order to find the truth. You're willing to take that gamble, because here's the powerful part for us who are in the late 40s, 50s, going on from there. You're no longer naive, baby. You're no longer naive. You're no longer desperate. That's a really good one. And you're no longer willing to be half loved. That is one of my mottos. Deserve it all or nothing. Being lost at this age isn't weakness. It's evolution. It's fucking evolution, baby. It's the shedding of who you've had to be, or who you've come to be, so you can really find who you are. What's your strength? What do you want? And what can you aim for? And there is something far more frightening than being alone. It's spending the rest of your life unseen. It's being the rest of your life just in the background, or settling, or being part of the wardrobe. So if you feel lost right now, either in love, out of love, searching, questioning, it doesn't mean you're behind. It means you've raised the bar. You want more from your life. You just don't know how or where to get it. And if you're lucky, you will meet the right person or the right path along the way. And I was putting all my thoughts this afternoon into this, and I'm going to bring Michael in now, because I thought there's a few more notes that I wrote. I wanted to bring this in because so many people I speak to of my age group and a bit, slightly older, or even in their late 40s, are going, well, we feel lost. We really don't know where we're going. I don't feel like I'm in my 20s anymore, and I can't just go out and experiment as much. I've lived, I've loved, I've survived. So this is where we're looking at tonight. We're looking at feeling lost, whether in our life, whether in our relationship, on our own, in our work life, because we all settle. All of us at one time in our life, we all settle. So I'm going to bring my co-host for this evening, the lovely Michael, in from Virginia, who I'm sure will have views and points. And I'll come back to the other stuff, but hopefully that's given us food for thought. Hello, Michael.
Oh, honey, that was so deep. Oh, I didn't know you was also a poet and an intellectual like that. It was very deep. It's like I was listening to a British poet. I about got lost in your words, but it's true.
I just pulled all my thoughts into the AI, and I said, please write this for me, and then they sent it to me, and I printed it out, and then I crossed it out, and I put other things in, because sometimes you know what you want to say and you just don't know how to do it. But for me, Michael, I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm on that merry-go-round right now, and I have felt like this for the last couple of years. Where am I going? What am I doing? And who am I going with? If I'm not, am I going there on my own? And if I am, that's okay. I'm reminded of the last what was that follow-up to Sex and the City that Sarah Jessica Parker did recently, and she says, I realize I'm not alone, I'm on my own. And that's where I find myself in my life. How about you?
I've been there. Like I said, we've talked about this for probably the last 3 years, and it seems like time is undefeated. It really is. And I've tried to get there. I know you tried to get to Canada and the States, and I know we don't do politics here, but we see things falling apart around us because you're in the UK, I'm in the States here, and it's like, is it our age that's going to get us first, or is it the world that's going to collapse and basically bend us over, and get us before we get there? But when I brought this subject up, I was talking to Dave, and I like to wish Dave well. Dave was in the hospital. Anybody that knows Dave, and somebody in the background, which asked the main anonymous, said, "Holy shit, I just told it." He said, "Ain't that what I just told you?" She said, "Everybody's feeling that way." And I used to think as after I got a certain age, I went from being Michael the soldier or Michael to this to, oh, you're Michael Allen's dad, you're Shelby's dad. Then after they got grown, I take the dogs to the vet. Then I'm Poseidon's dad. I'm like, it's like, holy shit, did I just get lost in the static in the background? Have I lived out my worth?
You feel like you've got identities, but somewhere along the way you've lost yours.
It's it, because people start identifying you as somebody, even like I said, even when I go to the vet, oh look, there's Poseidon, and they're happy to see him. Oh, that's just Poseidon's dad. He'll be fine. And I'm like, okay, which I'm fine with that. Everybody knows that, that I'm a proud pet parent, and and they give me a lot. And they give me a lot of purpose. And it's like I said, sometimes you just get so lost. You don't want to pick up. You don't want to do like basic things. And I've known that. And being lost can lead to like deep depression, which is really, really horrible.
Yeah.
And I wrote my notes. Wicked Women gives me something to do once a week. And it's like I try to get from Sunday to Sunday, because I know, we don't have a big following, but the people who do follow, damn, they're loyal. You know what I'm saying? And the part of the Wicked family, they mean the world to us. I know they do, you and me. And I'm like, and I'm trying to redo things in my life now that gives me purpose to do the day-to-day activities, which is not easy. When you got to reinvent yourself at our age, it gets harder. Like I said, I'm not 20 years old again. Like I want to start a career as an astronaut and go to training and go to Mars. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to start looking.
Concentrate on me.
I am. Oh, hit you. And that's what I'm saying. Then when you get older, and I've had a lot of CTE and stuff. So sometimes, the ADHD kicks in. It's like squirrel, and it's gone. And you end up with more things that you got to fight. And it is a battle, because like I said, it's not like I want to start over at 54 years old and say, look, I'm going to be an astronaut. Elon
just move away slowly from your mic, just because you're quite. The thing what I understand is in your 50s, people think you should know your way by now. You should know who you are. You should know what you're doing, because I don't know about you, but in my late teens, 20s, I wasn't too well. I couldn't do some of the things I wanted to do, and I've sort of come to things later in life. And while all my friends were in my 20s, well, when late teens, early 20s, all my friends were out partying, going to clubs. I wasn't. I was quite ill. I was in and out of hospital. I was in a, I didn't get a chance to do it till I came to it later. And I feel like I'm still catching up, and I've got so much to do. And I think we start to see our parents age, and I also think that we feel like that's our own mortality we're looking at. And I think it's a lot of women I talk to as well that are in menopause, or they feel like, what's my purpose now? I've been a mom, or they've not been able to have children, or they've been the wife, and they're like, I'm not in that stage anymore. I don't need to have babies. I've done my bringing up. Where do I go from here? And I also think I have also been in that relationship in my later 40s and into my 50s, where I have lied next to somebody and I felt a million miles away. Oh, that's probably because they weren't there. But it's remembering who you used to be before compromise. And there's nothing wrong with compromising, but when some compromising takes you away, you've compromised and compromised so much to keep the peace because you don't want to rock the boat, that you've lost something, you've outgrown something, and you've shrunk yourself to fit a relationship or to fit a way of life. And we've lost that person. And I think there's so many people in that right now.
But, after I figured it out, it was almost like the world flipped the script. When I figured out where I'm supposed to be going, it changes up. The kids grow up, marriage ended, career retired. Then I had figured out what I was doing, but now I got to figure it out later in life, which is not that easy. And when you get older, it's harder to figure out what am I going to do with the latter half of my life. And I've seen people, they talk about your life being like seasons. You're born in the spring, you live in the summer, and in the fall is when you're trying to live out the best part of your life and enjoy the things that you built. In the wintertime is death. And I always told them I wanted to stretch the fall part of my life as far as I could. But it seems like when you build everything up and everything flips around, then you have lost your way, because everything you thought you had figured out is gone. So you got to sit back and refigure it out when you're in that fall part of your life. And things is supposed to be slow and enjoyable and stuff like that.
Sure.
Like I said, it's hard. And
I understand it completely. I just want to answer Field Guy, who's written such a very good point when he says, I liked it better when we had 3 sexy ladies up there. Well, you've got 1 sexy lady and the other one will be back next week. There are no 3 sexy ladies anymore of Wicked Women. There are only 2. And sorry, Field Guy, if it's not sexy enough for you, then move along.
Okay.
The other thing,
Hawk, how does that sound? Is that better? My mic probably got turned.
That's cool. I also feel as well, when you're in your 50s or late 40s to 50s, you don't want to make another stupid choice, right? You really don't.
No.
And you're like, been there, done it, ticked it off. And oh my God, imagine if you're coming out of a marriage or a long-term relationship and either everyone else is either settled down or and you don't know how to start again. You've got to have a new home. I've got to buy everything new. I don't know how to be single again in a world of couples. And for me, who's been single for quite a while now through choice, although, I've dated on and off, but through choice, it's the fact that I don't want to settle for just a relationship. I don't want to settle for just dating. I want to actually be with someone that I actually really, really like. But also as well, I'm trying to find myself as in, do I stay here? Do I go there? Do I want to do this, want to do that? So I'm in that transitional process of going from leaving the old, moving into the new. And that makes you feel really lost because I'm standing at a crossroads right now. And every direction in front of me requires courage, right? Every direction requires courage. But how many of you out there have done the roles of partner and mother, father, the peacemaker, the strong one? And somewhere inside you, there's that little voice going, well, what about me? What about me? What about my turn now? And I want you to ask yourself these questions. Are you feeling fulfilled? Are you feeling respected? And are you alive in this relationship if you're in it or just existing? Because if you are just alive, feeling I'm alive, but I don't feel alive, or just existing, it means you have to reconnect with the person you were before you adjusted yourself to being someone else. Why is it, Michael, that we all do it, I've done it, we change ourselves sometimes to please another person, and there's nothing wrong with that until we lose ourselves.
I just had that conversation probably not more than a couple of hours ago with somebody. And I told them, no matter what you do, if it ain't never good enough, maybe you need to remove yourself from that situation and let them figure out, hey, I had a pretty good deal here and I screwed it up. I said, if every day they wake up and you're the problem, pack your shit and leave. I said, Nick, and he's like, you don't understand. Then she's going to be mad if I leave. I said, well, goddamn, she's already mad that you're staying. I said, it's a no-win situation. I said, you're jumping through hoops. You're walking on eggshells.
It's not
And
good.
nothing you do is never good enough. I said, the best thing you do is, I said, give them exactly what they want. If they want to be miserable, they'll be miserable by themselves. I said, ain't no need, what is the old saying? Misery loves company.
That's a very true thing. And I think, why do we settle as well? Like, so many of us have settled, whether it's in a job, because it takes a lot of strength to go and get another job, to go and put yourself out there, especially at a different age. Some of us are, I've worked hard to get this position. It means doing this, it means doing that. Or some people want to take the chance. But what I tend to talk to is a lot of people that just feel, I don't know me anymore, because like for me, my life particularly revolves around taking care of my mum and being at home and trying to keep myself well, which is difficult with lots of things going on with my health. And also like trying to sort out a lot of technical stuff where leaving the country is if I can, is called for. But also, I think being on my own, Michael, I don't know about you, but being on my own and spending quite a bit of time on my own, I've really got to know myself. And it wasn't until I actually went to Calgary in 2005, 2006, was the first time in my life that I actually discovered who Wendy was. Because up to then I was the daughter, the girlfriend, the fiance, the wife, the partner, the friend. I didn't actually know. I never had a relationship with me. It was like people always said, I was trained as a counselor, and people would always say to me, you know what, Wendy, as a counselor, you've got to learn who you are. You've got to listen to yourself. You've got to learn from yourself. You've got to like yourself. Yeah. Otherwise, how are you going to do it with anybody else? But it took me to being on my own in a foreign country, day after day after day, before I actually started the journey. And then I came home and I went right back in to being in that square box, feeling like a round hole. And for all these years, I have remained that square peg in a round hole. And that doesn't mean that I don't love my home and I don't love my family and my people. I do, but something across changed in me. Something changed in me. I actually fell in love with me. I actually fell in love with the life. And then sadly, I couldn't stay there. And I don't think I can ever go back. I can never go back to that woman who I was before. And you probably understand that.
That's me. I used to travel a lot for work and in the Army. And I was told the other day, Michael, you don't never want to leave home now. I'm like, people are shit when you go out and about. I said, I don't want to deal with the people that are in the world right now. I said, they're all stupid. I said, I'd rather come home, watch YouTube, cuddle with the dog. The dogs never fuss a bit about what I'm watching on TV.
Do you feel lost? I mean, when you say you feel lost, like, in the Army, did you feel lost?
No, I had tasks and purpose, and I knew what I was doing every day. And it's good with somebody after a few concussions. Your day is very structured. You're going to do PT at 4:30. You're going to take a shower at 7. You're going to take a nap from 7 to 8:30. Get up, put your uniform on. You're going to be back at the office by 9. You go to lunch at 11:30. Come back at 1300. And if you're lucky, you go home by 17:30 or 5 o'clock or 5 o'clock. And
do you feel that because it was already laid out for you, but when you came out of the Army, it's not laid out for you anymore? Your time. Do you think you miss that?
Oh, I miss it every day. Every day. I was, like I said, that caused a very, very bad depression in 2016 because I felt like I had no task. I got so used to doing my job, taking care of other people. Then when I come home, I had all this free time on my hands, which most people would think would be great. But then, like you said, you get lost with yourself. You got to have them internal conversations. You got to process 22 years of shit. And it's like, I really don't like being alone with myself. But now, you know, I can sit here in front of the laptops, you know, got the screens up. And I try to find little hobbies, you know, to keep me busy. And I had somebody tell me the other day, they're like, you had a full conversation with the dog. I said, well, he responds. I said, me and him has an understanding. And I figured I'm not the old crazy cat lady no more.
Did you feel like you had an identity?
Oh, absolutely.
In the army, and when you came out, you no longer had the identity, because you take on a different persona in the military.
Yeah. And you hang, and then when you come out, you hang it up.
Yeah, and then it's like, who am I now? Who am I now without the uniform?
Yeah, and I see that happen a lot. You know, you're just not in the army, but policemen, firefighters, EMTs, somebody that wears the uniform and they carry themselves in that role for so long. And a lot of people don't know it, but KB is a retired police officer. And, you know, and don't call him on Friday or Saturday night when live PD's on, because he won't answer the phone. He gets real recruits. But that was his identity. And me and him has talked about that before, about when do you leave that part of you behind and try to find who you, because, you know, you really are, you're yourself, but not really yourself. You're kind of molded when you come in. That's the reason calling it an indoctrination center. You're indoctrinated into the army.
That the military and the services, police, fire, ambulance, etc., they kind of give you this identity. And I was talking to a couple of friends, and someone actually I dated a while ago, and they'd been a firefighter, and they also were part of the para, and they were like, they were forced to retire, and didn't want to, and actually and quite frankly shouldn't have done, because they were fit as anything, and they could, you know, they could have been done amazing, but they were forced to retire, and they felt completely depressed, completely lost. Who am I? I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go, because not because they were told what to do, but they loved who they were in that life, in that lifestyle, in that career. And suddenly they're like, you're too old. You've got to retire now. And you may not feel it. If you feel like retiring, that's great. But if you don't feel like retiring and it's forced upon you, that's where you could say the depression comes in, isn't it?
It's almost like your future has been stolen from you. It's like somebody has took something away from you that wasn't theirs to take. And like I said, I think we was talking about him, and I know, which I got out, and I know Sergeant Major now that I still talk to, that I was in with him. Yeah, he's went on. He's Sergeant Major of the Army, and he's like 55 years old, and he's still, okay, I call him G.I. Joe. I'm like, dude, I said, you can drink a 30 rack and still do PT at 4:30 in the morning. I said, you're not human. I said, if I do that, I'd be laying on the couch for 2 weeks. He's like, you know, what is it, like pain or weakness leaving a body or something? I said, that hood shit don't work on me no more. But like I said, you know, when you have that taken away from you, just how people interact with you, when they, you know, because it becomes, that uniform becomes part of your personality. It becomes part of your, like you said, persona when you go out, and when people see you, they're like, oh, look at this, or, you know, and what is it? I know after 9/11.
Carry on a minute, Michael, carry on.
I know after 9/11, all the firefighters, all the paramedics, all the policemen, and the soldiers, you know, everybody was really patriotic, and there was always like free coffee or your military discount or first responder stuff. And now it's not quite like that in here now. There's a lot of defund this, or if you have this career at something. And I feel for the guys who went in and started these careers when everybody was so patriotic and so pro policemen, you know, EMT, firefighters, soldiers. And now, you know, they get shit through at them, frozen water bottles. And it's like, oh, why are you doing this for? You know, they probably, you know, as like I said, you know, it's not really that we change. the world has changed. And sometimes the world can change and take your direction that you had and the reason you did it. And they just flip the script. So then you're 15 or 16 years into a 20-year career, and you're trying to get your last 4 or 5 years in so you can retire.
Sure.
And people's calling you bad names and throwing stuff at you. And you're like, look, dude, I'm just trying to, get my time in.
It's wrong. It's so wrong because I think anyone who's in the services and in the military, end of the day, I take my hat off to them because you're putting yourselves out there to help other people. And it's and even as I said, I think you're making a difference somewhere in someone's life. If you're in, I mean, you and I both had been married, divorced, and had relationships, and being in a relationship where, and I reckon there's a lot of people that can relate to this. I know I could, where you're married or you're living with someone or you're with them for a long time, and you're like, I just feel like I'm part of the carpet, or they go, we barely talk, we barely see each other. They're in one room, they're in the other. The sex has stopped. I mean, that's a really big thing, isn't it? Unless it's a mutual thing that both of you are happy with that. I've always said it, and I'll say it from the start. If you are in a relationship with someone and there is no physical contact or intimacy, and only one of you has changed their mind and the other one hasn't, you are living with a roommate, not a partner. Because unless it's a mutual decision, it's being forced on you, or maybe I'm not saying if there's not a medical reason or if there's not something like that, because sometimes there is, and it's not always easy to do. But I mean, there's many ways of being intimate. But I think also they stay. And why do people stay for so long? Children, marriages,
financial.
Financial. The thought of, oh God, I've got to disrupt. I've worked all hard for this. I'm going to lose the house. I'm going to lose everything I worked for. So they stay and tolerate and put up with it and become a shadow of them former selves. Good point. The whole fear of being alone.
I seen a thing this morning. I watched a lot of different things to try to keep up with how the feel of everything is for Sunday. I try to do my best to prepare as I can. And there was a thing that came out that said, is chivalry dead? And all these young men are not doing like guys did in my generation or some of the other guys here in chat. They're not opening doors. They're not paying the whole bill to go out on a date. And I said, a lot of it wasn't appreciated. They seen the things their dads went through or whatever, and it wasn't appreciated. So they quit doing it. So now the women are lost when it comes to dating because they was told these men will open doors. They will pay for dinner. They will be appreciative of your company. And now it seems like they pay by the hour and cuddle with a pet. And so I think we have lost a lot of that, as far as it's not just that people are lost, our cultures are being lost. The interaction between the sexes are being lost.
That is really true. At the moment, you can definitely say that in the world. Like I think everybody's trying to find their place. Who am I? Where am I going? But there's a very good point that Holt brings up about fear of being alone, because if you've been in a relationship for a long time, or you're a certain age, maybe you don't want to be alone again. Maybe you don't want to start that again. So people, and another thing I've noticed, people go from relationship to relationship to relationship because they don't want to be on their own. They don't want to have that time period to be on their own, to digest, to process before they move on. And I think when I was younger, I used to think, oh my God, if you haven't got a boyfriend or if you haven't got a partner, you know what I mean? Then you're totally screwed. So you'd like go from, it was so important you had to have a partner. These days you don't need to have a partner. But I think what you want is someone who's not your world, but fulfills you, completes the part of you that, not you, but completes the world that the part was missing.
I tell them there's a difference between needs and wants. I don't need somebody in my life. I want somebody in my life.
Sure.
Because I've got everything here pretty, I've got my little layout that my routine that I do.
Yeah.
And I got my family and my extended family that I see popping up here in the comments. And and that's fulfilled. Now, if I bring somebody in, it's not because I need them. It's because I want them in my life. But I have seen, like the fear of being alone and the fear of missing out and all that. And it's like, I've seen people find love like 18 times this year already on Facebook. And I'm thinking, damn, they're lucky. They found the one 18 times this year. And I tell them, and I hear the word love throughout so much. Oh, I love you. I was like,
I love you.
Yeah, I'm like, holy shit. No,
love is, I always say love is a double-edged sword, because it can be the most genuine thing, and it can be like, but I love you, but you love me. And the other thing is, I've heard a very true statement the other day. The word fine, when someone says to you, how are you? And you go, I'm fine, or everything's fine, it's all fine. Fine is where dreams go to die. Because when someone says, I'm fine, it's all fine, it's not actually true at all. It just means you're tolerating something. It's not. That's the clue. When a woman certainly says you're fine, she's fine, expect that she's not. But I also think
no. If a woman tells you she's fine or everything is okay, you might as well just take gasoline and pour it in the middle of the living room floor. Strike a match. It's easier to deal with the authorities and explain why you're trying to burn the fucking house down. And that's what that shit out.
Point. How do you find that part of yourself that someone took from you, or that relationship took from you, or that illness, or that trauma, or something else? How do you find that again? And also, how do you feel alive? Because I don't know about you, Michael, but I think you and I have had this conversation before, and I know that I'm not the only one feeling like this, because other people have said it to me. In fact, yesterday I was chatting to a good friend, and we were saying, I don't feel alive. It's like I feel like I'm just existing, and I'm just coaching from moment to moment, day to day. And I want, I actually miss that part of me that had that, what's the word I want to use?
Yeah, it's a drive. It's a purpose. It's every day you want to get up.
Passion for yourself, passion for your life. And passion for someone else, and desire, and not just sexual desire, but I really want this. I think nothing's sexier than ambition in someone. If you see ambition in someone, not at the sake of everything else or everyone else, but if you see someone who's ambitious, who actually doesn't talk the talk but walks the walk, that is sexy. That is very important, because you think, all right, that person can back it up. But I think when you're with someone who promises the world and then it doesn't happen, you're like, well, I can't believe you anymore. So you start becoming disenchanted, and then you're like, well, I'm with someone that talks the talk but doesn't come through it. In my marriage, my second marriage, I was with somebody who made me feel incredibly alone. And I spent so many hours on my own that 6 years of my life just went on my own, maybe they're on my own. No, the physical situation was
it's very cruel when somebody isolates you like that.
It was cruel. It was 6 years of my life, the best 6 years of my life, that and I felt like, but I didn't want to get out of it, because I know I failed another marriage. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Everyone's going to look at me. You're 2 marriages down. How, you can't do another one. All this stuff went through my head. And I remember thinking, I've got to make this work. I've got to make this work. And I settled for some years thinking, well, maybe this is marriage. Maybe this is what you settle for. Maybe this is what you get. And then someone said to me, they put a big mirror and a light, and they were like, you need to wake up and smell the coffee. What and why are you putting your life on hold for something and someone else that is not fulfilling you as a woman, not fulfilling you as a person, but is making you feel completely empty? And in the end, I'd lost myself so much in that relationship that I actually realized that to put all your eggs in one basket, to put all your dreams in one person's hand, is a dangerous thing to do. You have to have your dreams, and they have to have their dreams. And together, if you make them, that's great. But if you don't, you're okay on your own, because you can still do it on your own. But I also think as well, people were frightened to go out there again. What am I going to, once the relationship is ended, or you've split up, what am I going to do? What do I do for work? I've been used to being the two of us. A lot of men, and I don't mean this horribly, but a lot of men go from one relationship to another because they're so used to being married. And women too, don't get me wrong, women too. But it's like, from what I was reading, a lot, it seems to be predominantly more men get into another relationship quite quickly, because they want to replace that connection, that feeling, because
being told what to do and how they're doing it wrong. Yeah, they probably miss it. It's like, oh, you didn't do this right. You didn't do it. No, I always told somebody, my ideal of a perfect marriage is somebody that makes you strive every day to feel more alive.
Get up and want to do it.
It's it, and it's like they don't, it's like, and you're just not striving to survive, but you're excelling, and they always want you to push you to do more. And that's like, and Steve probably remembers when I said, most men are pretty tranquil when it comes in a relationship. You feed him, you pat his head, you rub his belly, tell him good boy. He's just like a well-trained setter.
Sure.
And, and I said, and I've always said, men are very, very simple creatures. If you chastise them in private and praise them in public, this man will build you a deck. He will fix your world's problems. But I think a reason a lot of the men have become lost and disenchanted with relationships. And, I was joking about it before, about, they'll pay by the hour and cuddle with the dog because they don't want to be tore down anymore. If they tell a woman she's pretty, then they say, oh, if you say that, then you're toxic. And that's like I was watching earlier for this, and I was trying to figure out why men are so lost in relationships, or why they don't want to get in relationships. And part of it is because everything that men did for so long, they were told, oh, you're wrong. You're pushing your manly, your mansplaining, or this. And finally, they have checked out, and they thought, if I'm going to be fussed at 24/7,
sure,
I can do it by myself. And like I said, I think a lot of times it's not just us that are feeling lost. And I know we do the astrology and stuff like that, and this is, I forget what, the year of the horse or something, but it's supposed to be the year of change, or it's supposed to be coming back.
Yes, it is.
And I'm thinking, well, maybe this is the year that things come back and get into balance, where men can be men again.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because I think men have, there's a lot of men feel there's a lot of expectations of them. I've got to do this. I've got to bring this much money in. I've got to produce all this work, because if I don't bring it in, I'm not a provider. And I think women sometimes, for me, it was the other way around.
Your worth is depending on what you can provide. And we talked about years ago, I forget what king was, but he kept killing the wives because he couldn't give him a male heir. And all the time it's his fault, which that was his fault. I'll give him that one. But that's what I'm telling him, and you always hear it. And when you call them on it, it's like, I want you to be over 6 foot tall. You got to make 6 figures and have 6 inches of men.
There's a lot of women out there that don't actually want a guy unless he's got a lot of money and he can provide for them. And it's like, they want a lifestyle. They don't want a marriage. They want a lifestyle. And the thing is, when you get married to someone, or you're living with someone, or you're in a relationship, yes, of course, your home and your bills being paid, and of course having the best kind of life you can is important. But it's not the be all and end all. And you've got to be with that person with their heads down the toilet, well as, going through the bad times. Now, there are some people out there, Michael, that have never felt lost, or they haven't felt it yet. But I guarantee you, whether it's tomorrow or next month or next year, there's going to come a time in your life where you will feel lost, because you're shedding the person you were to become the person you're going to be. What
do you call it? Like during the butterfly, when you cocoon
into the butterfly,
and it comes out.
You're no longer naive. You're no longer desperate. as I said, and you're no longer willing to accept half-ass actions and
Yeah.
half-ass love. And you know what? Why should we? We are on this planet for a very small time.
That's it.
From the moment we're conceived to the moment we leave the planet, we have a really small gap, and we waste so much time on people and relationships and situations that do not fulfill us. And when we know we're in something that is not taking us down a certain road, I've done it. So I can say this because I'm speaking from experience. Get the fuck out,
Yeah.
right? Leave or make your decision, leave the job, go and take the course. Sometimes, Michael, I don't know about you, I feel like going to the airport, packing a bag, checking the flights and go, do you know what? I'll take that one. And it'll take me anywhere to get away from where I am. And it is scary. It is scary.
The only reason I haven't is because I don't have the money. I got the passport. I just don't have the money.
So I.
And and it's like, and I'm really disappointed in myself because I traveled in the Army. I traveled to work, and every day I wanted to see a different sunset. I didn't give a shit where it was.
Well, you better get your ass in gear because you know what? You don't know how much time.
No,
the thing is, life should be seen. Mark has got the right idea when he says, "Go out, put your feet on the grass, touch the tree, breathe the air, enjoy each day." He's absolutely right. But the thing I want to ask is, when you raise the bar in your life, I think it actually improves your life because you're not willing to settle for shit anymore. You're not willing to settle for half-ass. You want more, and much more. You've realized that you deserve it. And it takes us a long time to get to that point, doesn't it? I mean, it's taken me to the age I am now to even get to that point.
You know, I had older people when I was young try to give me hints along the way. And, and I thought, I got the bull by the horns, I've got this shit figured out. And I remember there was an older lady that my mom worked with at the nursing home. And I asked her, I said, how did you stay married so long? She said, because I do not tolerate arguments and I do not tolerate shitty sex. She said, life is too short for either.
True, Colin. And
then she just went rolling down the hall in the wheelchair. And I thought, Granny's getting it in. Granny's got the right idea. And now that I sit back, and that's like when I was talking to the friend earlier that's in the situation that he's in. All of these sayings that these people have told me over the years, they start flooding back in and you start pulling them back up. And it's like, wow, I was an idiot. I should have took notes back in. I should have went around, with a legal pad and a pencil writing down all of these stories that these older people had told me that had made it through their life. And they was happy. And you could tell the ones that wasn't.
With work, if your work doesn't make you feel alive, if you don't enjoy your work, if you don't feel passionate about work, if you just think, oh God, I've got to do this, that's also an indication that if you can, try and change that. But where do we go at our age? Where do we go to change it? Like I am at this point in my life. I'm at a real turning point. I'm on that roundabout and I've got like all these different directions pointing at me. And for once, I know what I don't want, and I know what I do want. And the one thing is a real turning point here, and I'm going to say a couple of things here. The moment you decide, I'm never going to shrink myself to keep someone. I'm never going to swallow and shut my mouth and walk out of a room to keep someone. That doesn't mean that you have to argue into someone, but you're allowed your point of view. I will not silence myself to avoid conflict, and I will not settle out of fear. And that's a really true saying, because like you, Michael, I have shrunk to keep someone. I have silenced myself a lot in a relationship to keep and to not get onto those what's the word, needles, the pins and needles.
And it's like if you don't agree something, you're thinking, and you start picking your battles. It's like, well, if I voice my opinion on that, it's going to be a shitty week.
Sure.
And marriage should not be good week. It should not be what's the word I'm looking for, like the roller coasters, the ups and downs. It should not be manic and whatever. And I see a lot of people that are in manic marriages. One does something and he's pissed off. He does something and she's pissed off. Then you see him a month later and they're all holding hands and too much PDA, and it's like, Jesus Christ, these people are trying to fucking kill each other, and it's like, it's like a roller coaster of I'm like, that is not a marriage. Marriage, like, and I've told people, a marriage is a partnership.
Well, it should say.
And like I said, even if it's not 50-50, because every day you cannot give 50%. You might have to give 100%. Somebody might be sick with the flu or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Or they might not have anything left but 10% to give. And you're supposed to cover down and help your partner.
Did you see the comment that Hulk's put in there about, I mean, he's probably like, there's probably serious and joking that, but it's like, we're in a relationship and someone tells you, you can't have that. You can't do that because we need this and we need that. And it makes us feel like, what's the word I want to use? Resentful, because we're being told what we can and can't do. We're being told, you can't buy that car or you can't do this. And so what happens is they might be, and then they might see their partner going out buying shoes or buying something else. And they go, well, hang on a minute, it's okay for you to do that. And so what happens is, I don't think any of us in life, and we all do it, we should not settle for becoming what someone else wants us to be. We should only settle for being our true self.
What is it? What do they say before you give any advice? Please do not hold me responsible for this. And I have been married more than once, so I'm probably not the one to give this advice. But if somebody tells me I cannot do something or cannot buy something, and I'm old enough to get married, I remember I looked at one of my wives and said, you know what? I make my own money. I make my own decisions. You're lucky I run it by you. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm not a child to be told no, to sit down. I cannot have that. If I make an adult money, I will make an adult purchase. Then I made a really good adult purchase when I paid the lawyer to pay for the divorce. But I refuse to have anybody tell me you cannot or will not, or I forbid you. If somebody says I forbid you, you better put on the fucking boxing gloves, because it's going to be a battle. Because, if you, and I understand if you don't have the money and you have bills to pay, and some people are just fucking stupid. They won't pay the light bill, the water bill, or buy food for their kids, but they'll buy a PlayStation 5. Somebody needs to be in their ass for that. But if you're
priorities, I think the word, if you've got bills to pay and you're buying something else.
But if you got the money and everything is paid, and all the needs in a home, in the household, is met between the people, and I seen it, it's like $11,000. I don't know what kind of camera that is, but it must be one hell of a camera. But I bought a fucking camera.
But some people stay in a work situation or a relationship because they don't want to feel lost. They feel it's better than being on their own. It's better than, it's like they don't know who they are anymore without being in that relationship. It's like, I'm so used to this. I've been there for so long. I don't know how to be anywhere. And then suddenly you're on your own, or, something happens and you're like, fuck, I've got to really find myself. Now, before I open this up for other people to join, which in a couple of minutes, I really want people to talk about why they felt lost, and where they want to go from here. Because for me, it's like being lost isn't a permanent state. It really isn't a permanent state. It's a transition between where you are now and who you were, and who, if you're brave enough, when I say that, if you're brave enough, who you want to become. And here's the truth, Michael, you don't actually find your path in life, you choose it.
And sometimes the path finds you where you want it or not. But I was thinking about that, and I like the little sayings. And sometimes I think our internal compass just gets knocked around by life. And you got to sit back and settle and let your compass needle settle down and get you back to your true north for the path that you are supposed to be on. But it's hard to get your bearing back with your internal compass. If life just keeps kicking you in the gut, and every time you turn around, different things hit you. And like I said, we've been friends for a while, and you've seen me ups and downs and get ahead, between, my dad passed away and, getting the shots in my back with the stroke. And it seemed like going to school, everything going good. Next thing you know, boom, 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 and it's like, holy shit, my compass needle is supposed to be showing true north.
Yeah.
It's,
And even when you try and get on that road sometimes,
Yeah.
even when you try and go down the path, it feels like life is stopping you. Something comes along, you're like, I'm desperate to do it. Why? And people go, it's not the right time, or maybe what you're waiting for. But it's like, the more you want something. But I just want to bring up this point again, because I'm going to bring in there's some people down waiting, but it says, here's the truth. You don't find your path. You choose it over and over again, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's uncertain. So if you're staying in a situation which is uncomfortable, uncertain, you choose to stay there. You got to put your money where your mouth is. If you want your life to be better, you have to go and get it. If you want to enjoy that job anymore, you have to go and get it. If you want to move and leave the country, or you want a new relationship, you have to go and get it. We choose to stay in uncomfortable situations for whatever reason we decide to stay with them. Sometimes people go, well, I can't leave, or well, I can't move abroad, or I'm stuck. And I think that sometimes we procrastinate, and we are our own worst enemies. I can see, I don't want to bring up the comments in now, because obviously we're coming up to the hour. So I'm going to bring those in down in the side. And I want people to come and join us if they feel like how they feel, whether they can give any points or whatever. But I feel there's a lot of people right now, you and I included, Michael, who feel in some ways lost.
We had this conversation a lot, and if our conversations that we had away from the microphones, that may or may not work well, and I keep moving it because I can hear it in my headphone, and to try to get it better, because that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you buy the best equipment you can afford, and it's still, no matter what you do, yes. But no, I tell people who say they're lost, I'm going to say, hey, you're not in this buggy ride by yourself. It's not only you, it's a lot of other people. Like I said, a lot of things, the world, it seems like it's in turmoil. It's just, the energy's all wrong. It's just,
we're certainly in a
weird,
difficult world. I want to thank, first of all, I'm going to bring Scotty in a minute, because I can see him waiting. But I just want to thank everybody that's in the comments, giving their point of view. And my mate Kevin, who's watching tonight. Hello, Kevin. Let's bring in Scotty, who's watching backstage. Hello, my love.
Hey, Wendy. Hey, Michael.
How you doing? I was trying to see what you had on your head. Oh, you got a bandana.
Oh, just a do-rag.
I was going to say it must have warmed up some in Minnesota. Okay.
Yeah. It's warm enough.
Turn your headphones down 1/3, and then your mic gain up 0.5 or something like that.
Michael? Yeah. You should turn your mic toward you as well.
It's
not sideways, but toward you.
It's got the thing, and if I turn it like this, it don't really work either. I've moved it around 2 or 3 times.
It's been, Scotty, you've been behind the scenes watching this. I think you probably can relate to quite a lot of it.
Lots of different things. Hawk and I had a conversation earlier this week, and this ties in at a different spot. But we were both talking about, there comes a time where you just look at things, relationship, this, jobs, all these things, and you go, fuck it, I don't really care.
Yeah.
And you get to that point. And I brought up Solomon in the Old Testament. What did he say? He wrote this whole book on stuff. And at the end, he said, the whole summing up of this is, he said, remember your creator in the days of your youth before the evil days come. And he's making a point. There wasn't anything I withheld from my hand to do. He said, I had all the money, all the power, all the this and that, and none of it satisfied. And I think that kind of segues a bit into this whole idea of a partner telling you, you can't do that. Like Hawk was putting up the kind of tongue-in-cheek buying a camera. Now, he wants to buy the camera. He's probably had a talk with his wife about it. But I don't know what the outcome of that was. Maybe it was similar to what he was joking about. But there is a point where when you tell somebody something, it can come across as criticism. It can come across as trying to control you. All of those different things. And many times it is that. What couples seem to forget, and this has been impacted upon me lately, is that when you choose somebody to be with in life, then you choose to, when it comes to it, I'm jumping back into this, when it comes to asking them not to do something, it's not I'm telling you to do this or else I will withhold sex from you if you don't do that, or whatever it might be, the consequences. It becomes a thing of, I've chosen this person, and this is the way I see it. I want to contribute to this by saying, I don't think it's a good idea that you buy the camera. I really don't. And here's my reasons, honey. You know, here's why I think we shouldn't do it now. Maybe we should save up for it. Maybe we should do it over here, defer it there. But right now, probably not a good idea because we've got this, and this. Rather than, oh, hell no, you're not buying that camera, bitch.
Yeah,
you know, there's two different ways to approach something. Sure. And when you've chosen somebody and you love somebody, and the love goes like this, okay? We all know that. Yeah. Choosing goes like this. Not a flat line, it's a stability factor. And it's when love is doing this, the choosing stays firm. And so I think that what people forget to do is they forget to apply that choosing to the everyday stuff too. You're going to the store to get smokes? How dare you? I needed to use the car, or whatever it might be, some dumb shit. And it's the choosing factor. Now, on top of that, slightly different, I've always had and I'm responding to all the things I heard being talked about. I've always had a problem with somebody who could leave a relationship and jump right into another one. We see it every day with a lot of people. It's like, oh, wait a minute. You just jumped out of a long-term relationship and you're already looking for a relationship with somebody else. I thought you were seeking independence. I thought you were seeking to be free and to work on yourself and do all this, but working on yourself and being independent and free from your old relationship means I'm going to jump into a new relationship next week. That makes no sense to me. And it's one of those things where, Wendy, you and I have had this conversation about this topic. It's that topic of saying, if you've come out of something, what's available to another person, even if you have incredibly strong, loving feelings for that person? What's the opportunity going to look like if you're still trying to heal or a grief is still overtaking you? Not as an active thing, but as a thing you can have active moving forward in life and becoming what you need to be and all of this and growing and strength and all that. But there's still that can coexist with grief. And how long does that take to make that dissipate before you can give what you need to give to the other person? So people jumping ship and jumping into something else. And I'm not talking about when it's real. I'm talking about just looking right away. I'm looking, I gotta find the new guy. I gotta find the new woman. And scoping it out. And it's like, why don't you take a fucking minute to figure out who you are?
I think you've got a good point, but there is also the other side to that, which is all of us are of a particular age. And when you're sort of
that's a good way to put it.
All of us are of a particular age. And the years behind us.
We're vintage. That's what it is, Scotty.
Probably the years in front of us, and life can be short, and a lot of people are looking to make the most of their life and enjoy it. Now, not all of us, but some of us can come from one relationship into another and find the love of their life. Another person may think, oh God, I've completely fucked that up because I've gone in there and I'm not even ready to be with that person. It depends on the situation and the person. And I also think as well, there's a time clock. I don't know about you, but I definitely hear a time clock as I'm getting older going,
oh, I've got one.
No.
I ain't getting any younger.
You got to make the most of what you come. And also, who are we living our life for? Are we living for what we look like in someone else's eyes? Is that more important to us than what we are looking in the mirror for ourselves? Is our, and I use this, let me get this point out, it's the wrong word I don't want to use, but is our image, is our ego, is the way that we look at other people look at us, is that more important than how we feel or how we look at something?
No.
Because all we do is put what other person may want or whatever people think. And I think when you get to our lovely age, we have been there, done
we're
it,
vintage.
off,
We're not
we're
old.
wiser, and it's kind of like, well, I fucking know what I don't want, but I know what I do. And if it comes along, I'm going to take it, because you know what? I've had that for so long and that didn't work. That was miserable. That was like unfulfilling, but I've got a chance of something else. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Yes, you're right. Some people do jump from one to another and they don't give themselves time to breathe.
And those are different things, by the way. I agree with you.
Yeah.
You're talking about two different things. It's like figuratively, there are some people that come out of something and they could really use something new and better, but they feel like the person they left took a leg with them. And you fall to the floor and you're crawling along the floor trying to get to that next level. Maybe an imperfect illustration, but that's the way some people are left. And they can't wrestle their way out of it. And all they will do is hurt somebody else. And I'm not saying me. I'm just saying I've thought about a lot of this stuff. And I've seen a lot of relationships over the years. And a lot of people do damage. They haul all their garbage into the new relationship because they haven't figured out and settled their garbage yet, as much as they may want the other person. And then they end up on the rocks. Why? Because that person cannot stop treating the new person like the old person.
They don't offload their emotional garbage that they had. And it's like I was telling you the other day, sometimes you got to back out of a relationship and take inventory. You got to triage how badly they wounded you. And these people don't take enough time to triage the damage that the person has done. And I have seen so many men and women bounce from person to person and emotionally cripple people and not really give a fuck about it, because it's all about their gratification at the time. And they don't want any delayed gratification. They want it right now. They don't want to work on themselves. And like I said, I've seen it. And that's like I was saying earlier, when somebody came and told me, oh, this person is, X, Y, and Z. And my first word to him was, get the fuck out, dude. Cut your losses. You're not going to catch nothing good in this hole.
But let's get back to the point of this podcast, which is lost. I'm feeling lost because I want to stick on that. And I think, Scotty, you know what it's like to feel lost and to come out without going into the whole thing. But what part of feeling lost did you feel and have you felt in your life? And where did you go find yourself again?
I think the feeling lost came from it's like years of investment in one thing and building and growing and having a vision for what your future was supposed to be, and all of a sudden you're the one that's unplugged and you're left to bleed out, and you're like, what this is not where I was supposed to be at this age in life, at this stage in life. I invested all this into this one person. And that's what you're supposed to do. I'm not discouraging getting with somebody new and then not investing your heart in them. That's what you're supposed to do. But I think that's what led to for a long time, and it might not seem like a long time to a lot of people. This is, it hasn't been a year yet, but it's pushing on it. And so I've had many, many months where I've gone from that absolutely lost. What do I do now? To I'm lost in life. Everything I worked for is gone.
Mm-hmm.
It's shattered. It's done. To trying to, what do they say, physician, heal yourself?
Mm-hmm.
It's that whole thing of starting to come up and out of it and saying, okay, I can either wallow in my lostness,
Yeah.
or I can push toward the thing that I know could be better.
Yeah.
Or is better for me, or improvement for me. Now, that doesn't mean I wouldn't say to somebody I was maybe even madly in love with, that I would say, be careful.
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt you because I'm an idiot still. Or I haven't figured things out yet still. Or I don't want to call you by somebody else's name in the middle of the night, and I'm making light with that. But there are things where you say, don't not love me, but be careful, because this is what I'm coming out of. And how much time? None of us can answer that question. Some therapists will go, well, for every year you were married, you need 3 years to recover. And I go, well, okay, by the time I'm 142, then I'll be ready to marry somebody again. No, I'm saying that everybody's different and everything is different. And if people, once again, getting back to the first point I made, people choose each other. They're in something to choose each other, and they know this is going on, and there's going to be garbage. There's going to be spew. There's going to be all this stuff that comes up, baggage. And yet, if they've chosen each other, they're going to be able to work their way through that thing because they know the other person's got that.
And if there's not a relationship, and you stay on your own, Scotty, and you choose, I'm not saying you, I'm just using the word you, but if you choose to stay on your own and you still feel lost, there's that very true saying from Lord of the Rings, how do you pick up the pieces?
How do you pick up the pieces of a broken life?
So if you're on your own and you're not looking for someone else and you feel lost, how do you find yourself, especially as a guy?
I don't know about Scotty, but but I know what he's been through, and we've talked to Scotty offline. But some days, when I was going through my divorces and stuff like that, I felt like Captain Jack, when there's shooting holes, in his ship. He's like, quit blowing holes in my fucking ship. You're sitting there, you're belling water. And every time you turn around, somebody else is knocking another hole in your boat and sinking and trying to sink you lower. And sometimes, it's like, you just want to get up out of the morning and you stick your head out the door, quit blowing holes in my fucking boat. It's like, I'm belling water. I'm trying to, find my path and try to keep sailing. But like I said, I know coming out of my divorces, because you have the emotional part, then you have the financial part, then you have the legality part. And, a lawyer or a solicitor, where she's for the people in the UK. And everything seemed like it. Then it takes a financial toll because lawyers are not cheap. A good divorce attorney is worth their weight in however many coin you got to pay them. But I, like I said, I could see where Scotty was going through that. It was like every day he got up being sick and being, kind of fed breadcrumbs, just enough to kind of keep intriguing. And I could almost tell it's like, every time we turned around and he thought he was making headway, somebody was blowing another hole in his boat. I say that because he's wearing a bandana and he looks like a parrot. We just got to get him the eye patch. But
the thing is, what I want to go back to, because I have to stay on topic here with the lost. If you are coming out and you're on your own and you haven't got anyone else and you're not looking for anyone, I'm using that example. How do you turn it around? How do you turn it around, Scotty? And not feel lost?
I think, let me make one point I was going to make before that. There is something I've noticed about let's personalize this. do I still have sexual desire? Yeah, of course I do. I'm a guy. I would love that. But there are times you would just love to have that other person there to just, it sounds so gay for a guy to say this, but you just want to hold them. And you want to go to sleep that way. And without sex, because that's something that you're missing. That's part of the lostness, the loneliness. And you and I've had this conversation about these things before. And so you want that, and you want it to be the thing. Well, let me move on from that to your exact question. How do you get yourself out of that? How do you unlose yourself? And I think I have been doing a lot of psychological reading and talking and exploring and trying to find things that work for me. And it's not, I'm sorry, that sounded wrong. I'm not looking for the thing on the shelf. Well, maybe I'll try this one now. That's not what I mean by that. The things where you have to elevate who you are over the situation. You have no control over anything else out there other than yourself. So all I have to be able to do is work with me and how I'm going to respond to things, how I'm going to let things affect me. And I had somebody tell me that if I was to represent you with the tarot, you are the king of cups, compassionate, loving, giving.
The emotions, yes.
You know what you're doing. You can give all the love you need to give. You're powerful. You have all these things, but you start relinquishing that when you start giving that lostness power over what you're doing. And it's not that lostness, I can tell you what, it never goes away. It's like I'm saying, the grief, the hole in the chest, I could have that 50 years from now. Should I live so long? That'll still be there. You can't get rid of it. All you can do is say, that has to coexist with me doing the things that make me, for lack of the better, the king of cups. I need to be that. And I need to put myself in that position. I need to think of who I am. Then I start thinking of my responsibilities. I have 3 teenagers. I need to be a dad to them. I can't let the things that overpower me overpower my obligation and my responsibility and my love for them. So I have to bring that up to the fore. All these things in life that we have, things that we're committed to, commitments we make. There were days I would sit here and just not get any work done. I can tell you that. When I moved into this house, and I was just like, I'd sit and stare. And I did, and there is a little bit, I talked about this on my own show. I told my doc, I said, I'm not a depressive kind of person. I don't get depressed. I've always been. I get discouraged, all that. I've always been an upbeat person. And I said, I think I'm depressed. And I sat in his office and I cried. Brings up a little emotion now because it's raw. And he said, I'm going to give you a little something. He says, it's mild. He said, it's going to take the edge off the darkness. And I said, well, what is that? And he said, it's low grade. And so I tried it a couple of days. One thing I noticed, you experienced this, Wendy, about a week ago. I called her and I was just like, hey, Wendy, how you doing? Let's talk. And I was upbeat because I finally had gotten myself with that little boost, a little help to get over that edge of saying, sometimes darkness and lostness creates a chemical imbalance in us.
It also encourages repeat.
Yes.
You say the same things over and over. You repeat the same thing. What I'm trying to look at, because you know, here we are, three singletons. You know, we're great advert for like, here we are, we're both single, all in three different areas of our life, all coming out from a situation, being in a situation. You know, for me, it's like, I want to move my life on. I feel very lost in my life, and I felt like it for some time. I've been biding my time, waiting for things to change, waiting for the right minute. And sometimes you get scared, because when the minute actually happens, when you go, this is the moment I can change my life, this is the moment that I can actually do it, it scares you shitless, because it's going to be one of the biggest decisions you ever make of your life. And there's no turning back. Once you actually step on the path, as that famous line from Lord of the Rings comes again, once you step on the path, you follow your feet, and you got to go down there. And I think what, for me and so many other people are feeling is, you know, some people are happy to be alone. Some people want to be on their own. Some people want to have a relationship. Some people just want to have part-time. You know, there's so many men out there and women that just want to be like, I see you at the weekend, I don't want you all week. And if that works for them, that's great.
Well, I think being alone and loneliness are two different things. Nobody wants to be lonely.
Yeah.
People might want to be alone. There's times I like being alone today, tomorrow, but I don't want to be lonely.
There is a difference between alone and being lonely. But Michael, I mean, when you and I were talking about this the other day, I said to you, I feel, you know, when you don't feel alive inside, you know, when you're younger, you get that excitement, or you're like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to make this happen, and you get really excited. And then as you get older, things just change along the way. It either gets knocked out of you, or you're scared shitless, you don't have enough money, or you're doing it on your own. A lot of people, I know what I did for years. I didn't make the decision that I'm trying to do because I was in a relationship where that person wasn't sure if they wanted it, where that person wasn't sure if they wanted to go, where that person wasn't sure they wanted to be a part of it. So I waited through 2 serious long relationships for them to hopefully get on the same page as me. And that was wrong. I should have gone, fuck you, right? I love you, but fuck you, because I'm going to try and do this. And if you want to come part of the journey, that's wonderful. And if you don't, it's something I have to do. So now I'm at that point where I am on my own, and I'm doing it on my own, and I'm doing what I can. And do you know what? It is scary, but there's also something empowering pardon the pun, by taking your balls in your hand and going, I'm doing this for me. I deserve to do this for me. Do you not agree, Michael?
Absolutely. And I seen the thing at Hawk City, you know, 75th, you know, Rangers lead the way. You know, but like you said, you know, when you take that first step, you know, out of the aircraft, I remember you don't know, you know, it's like, you know, all your training is here, but when they say, you know, hook up, shuffle up to the door, there's a big unknown thing out there. Oh, I just seen who, you know.
Yeah.
But like I said, now it took me back from. But like I said, you know, there's the big unknown. And the one thing that I really appreciated about the Army was they did set goals that you had. You go in, it's like, you know, even from the first day you go in, it's like, oh, this is what you're going to do. You have a training regiment and everything. And then when you get older, and I follow a lot of that back. And now, but like I said, now that I'm happy, you know, I'm retired, you know, I've got the dog, but I'm like Scotty said, you know, some days I think I'm lost, and I think I've lost my drive and my purpose. And that's like I tell a lot of people, those who can't anymore teach. But I don't want to be the one who has to teach now. I want to be the one that still does. But I seem like I've lost the ambition.
Hook, you've got a lot of comments. You should come on. You're commenting. You should come and join us. And Rapid, Wendy is happy now and just doesn't realize that. Well, you wouldn't know that. No. You wouldn't know exactly how I am. But you know, thank you for saying that I look happy. You wouldn't want to see a miserable host, would you?
No, that's what I'm saying is, you know, the face you see here on Sunday, you know, a lot of times I tell them, you know, there's the V for Vendetta mask back there. A lot of times, you know, you put on a fake facade.
Because you want it, because you're trying to make a good show that everyone can get something from and run away with. Nobody wants to see someone looking completely miserable and falling apart. They really don't. It's not great.
No.
Well, it's car crash TV. Let's be honest. I'm
What
going to
is it
bring
they
up
say? I can do bad all by myself. What was that movie from where she got they said something that her said, oh, you cannot make it without me or something. And she looked at him. She said, well, fuck, I can do bad all by myself.
There you
And
go.
I've seen that with a lot of people in life. They're like,
Fuck, I mean, I done that. Like you'll never, told you'll never get the car. You'll never do this. You'll never do that. Look at me now. I just want to say,
she's a damn good looking car. I'll give her a plug. Check her out, The Huntress. She if you're in the UK, she's for rent.
It is. Now, being lost doesn't mean you failed. It means something inside you is no longer willing to live on autopilot. At 50-ish, you're not confused. You are conscious. You're aware enough to know when something doesn't fit your life anymore, and you're wise enough to question it. But are you brave enough to change it? If you are, go for it. Your path isn't missing in life. It's waiting for your decision. You don't need a 5-year plan tonight. You don't need certainty. You don't need permission. You need to just be honest with yourself. And that's a very strong point, actually, because being honest about what you want and what you want to happen, and if you can make it happen or not, are two different things. I want this relationship to happen, but I can't. I want to move across the country, but I can, but I can't. I don't want to leave my family behind, but I have to. Sometimes you have to be completely honest, even if it's not what you want to say or you want to hear. And I would say to people, if you're in a relationship and you're not being, and you don't feel seen and you don't feel heard, time to leave. If you're single and refusing to settle, just for anybody, hold your standard, or as Scotty would say, hold your course.
Stay the course.
If you're scared to move away gently, wisely, but fucking move. Because here's the truth. It's far more dangerous to stay stuck and not make a decision than it is to evolve. You're never too old. You're never too late, and you're not asking for too much. And when you choose the path you're meant to go on, when you choose your alignment becomes the moment that everything falls into place. It's the turning point. And feeling lost is not the end of your story. It's the next step. So I hope tonight, before we end this show, that everyone's got a point from here. And I want to thank everyone that's joined us for joining in tonight. And thank you, Michael, for your help with the show, because you bring a very calm and grounded voice.
You put a lot of work, and a lot of people don't realize how much work she puts in behind the scenes to keep me on track and grounded, because I am an engine of chaos. And
well, I do a lot of work for Wicked Women. I do.
She does. Yeah. She busts her butt all the time, and that's what I always tell them, that I'm to protect. Anybody that says anything bad about her or Val, that whole calm, cool demeanor, I revert. I go back into the old Michael that she has bollocked out of me for 3 or 4 years. Well, and I'm like, no, these girls work their butts off. And I know a lot of times, I'll get a picture or something, she'll send me, she's like, what do you think? I'm thinking, and that's like the other day. Everybody's like, oh, what direction this Wicked went? I said, shit, I don't know. I said, I'm just trying to hang on and, for the ride. I was going to show you.
I'm trying to see if I can bring it in. I think people might notice. Where is my picture? Let me, well, probably people are noticing. Let's just move. You can see the different background, because we're changing Wicked Women. We are upgrading a lot of it. You can tell when you go to the YouTube page, there's although it's the original graphic, it's been upgraded quite a bit. There's also all the shows have new thumbnails. There's a new show. We're also, that will be spreading to the Instagram. to the
TikTok.
Facebook as well. And obviously Val's not been here for a while. She hopes to come back next week. We'll just have to see how she gets on. But we go on without her because she wants us to. And we're trying to keep consistent here. But I think it's really important that every week we bring our game and bring more and more. Also, there is a web page to come. I'm not going to tell anyone what it is as yet because it's not finished. It's looking fabulous.
Absolutely.
And I'm having somebody absolutely amazing is helping me with it, and it looks fantastic. So there is Wicked Women webpage not far away, and it's going to have lots of different things on it as well. We're also going to have a lot of new intros and some different music. It's all going to be changing as well. So, it's time for a change. And the same with Robert's
merch.
We
need merch. We need merch.
We do. And I'm sure Val will work on that. I just want to say, just before, Michael, you come into that, Robertson returns this week. And all being well, I think, Scotty, we're coming in on Thursday. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
What time?
We are coming at 9 o'clock UK time, which
is 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Mountain, 1 p.m. Pacific time. And sometime tomorrow live in Australia.
Yeah, so
and also, Scotty and I have to up our game as well, because we did Robertson a while ago, and now we need to bring in a whole new different energy and show, because people need something new to keep them coming back for more. It's the same in a relationship. You want the person to up their game, and as I told him to come in, he has. Let me bring in Hawk. Hello.
Oh, look! Oh,
hello, sweetie.
What a face, no picture.
There he is. It's muted. Oh no, he's muted himself. So he'll be in a minute.
Oh,
there you go. Hello, sweetie.
What?
Nope, still not it. Never mind.
But I
hello, sweetie.
Hello, sweet. Yeah. Yeah. We're
on mute.
No, the other day when I saw the new thumbnails popping up, I sent her a message. I'm like, I don't know when you did it, but damn, they look good.
Thank you.
Like I said, some of this stuff even gets slipped in with the people that are kind of in the know, and I'm like, then I got to go on. It's like, oh, check out the webpage. I'm like, what? And I was about half asleep, and I was like, and I couldn't even type in the web address, and I was like, holy hell! And finally, I got it, and I was like, shit, this looks good. But I think is Hulk still muted?
Hulk is with us, but he just hasn't spoken yet. Are you there, Hulk? Nope.
No,
don't worry. Let's carry on. So looking at this, let me bring in. So I'm going to bring in this, which I did manage to get you StreamYard to do today. Obviously, this is the banner for Robertson, which returns this Thursday. And
yes.
Really looking forward to seeing this come back, because, as I say, we've got to come in with a different energy and a different show. And it's been a while. It's been like almost 2 years, isn't it?
It has. And I liked this one, but I'm not sure if it was usable for a banner. So, but I thought it was very cool. So.
It's just the one. This one here.
That was fun.
Yeah, it looks like you look very Outlander in that. Do you know what I mean? It's definitely got that
Outlander. It's Outlander. Business best done outside.
Where's the stones? That's really cool. And obviously, but obviously this is the one.
Yes.
That we've chosen to come in, and I really like it because you can see the ship, the captain's cabin, and the whole thing that you're doing right now. You can see the ship and everything behind, and then you also go to mine, which shows the podcast. And for the first time, when I started Robertson, I was like the rookie, and you were the chief, and now we're almost. Not so many years.
Rapid Dog, it wasn't supposed to be to her throat. I'm holding it like this, and I've got her around, the shoulders. So there you go. So I'm not like kidnapping her.
He's
Well,
not kidnapping me or anything like that.
Okay,
Right.
okay,
you're
you guys
coming with
cool?
me.
Hulk, are you with us now?
I don't know. Am I?
Yeah, yeah.
And
I hear you.
Then a voice came out of the darkness.
Yeah, that's that God thing. going on.
Hello, and
Or darkness came out of the voice.
welcome to Wicked Women. Your first time talking to us.
I feel so feminine.
You get used to it.
You know, you are kind of
Yeah.
feminine. You got that feminine side.
I know.
Yeah,
Can you hear it
you
in
just
my
gotta
voice?
get
It's
comfortable
like,
with it.
oh my
You know what took him
God.
so long to come on? He had to go get on his fishnets and high heels.
No, I
Oh.
wouldn't put them on. Thank you very much.
You're very quiet, Hulk. I need you louder.
Yeah, your mic sounds distant.
Okay, is that better?
That's
Not really.
What do you mean, not really? Is that better?
No.
He's got live to the ridiculous. Pull it
Okay.
down. Hey, pull it down.
Okay, so okay, tell me. We'll say again.
I feel like I'm on Scotty's show the other night. Your mic is very bassy and you're very thick. You just bring it down.
Why don't you
I'm
raise your
just
painting up
saying.
to about 3:00?
Hold on a second. Yeah,
That's
you know what?
better.
Let me move my microphone. I know what to do here. Hold on.
That's
Input. Here we go.
And just for the record, Hulk doesn't look
here
anything
we
like
go.
that picture, just so you know.
There we go. Is that better?
That's
Nope.
better.
Okay. Let's see if this one is. Nope. Is that better?
Oh my
There we
God, I feel like I'm on your show the other night, Scotty. I feel like I'm on it.
Sorry.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Okay.
Hawk's got kind of a, just in case you're all wondering, kind of a Danny DeVito type of look around him.
Yeah.
But he's got a little more hair than Danny DeVito.
I do.
Yeah.
Danny DeVito, I'd say he's got a mixture of Danny DeVito's sarcasm and humor with Arnold Schwarzenegger's kind of more tall body.
Oh, don't say that. Oh, he's going to be insufferable all week now.
He will be.
I don't know, man.
Wendy said I look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
True.
Guess what? I do.
Down here with you.
It's true.
I am not a little
So,
guy,
Hulk,
Scotty, you know that.
Oh, he's a big
You've been
guy.
watching-
He's a big guy. Yeah,
Well,
I'm laughing because at our age, we're not toned anymore. That's all.
Oh, speak for
Oh,
yourself.
I'm telling you
pussy.
now, you've got to just
Yeah.
turn your volume just slightly. And what I was going to ask you is, you're watching the show tonight, Hulk. What kind of things could you relate to and take from it?
Well, I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. I'm having to actually get close to my mic. So is it working or?
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good deal. All right, that's good.
It's foggy, but it's a little hard to hear. And not volume. It's real dampened, is what it sounds like.
I think it's StreamYard. I really do, because like I said, I've adjusted, turned, and I can see the lights on my board come up, but it's still not coming through.
Let me see here. I'm using the right. Oh, here, hold on a second. Standard doesn't do. Okay, let's see if that helped a little bit. And
That's
and-
much better.
Helps a little
Yeah.
bit.
Okay.
Okay.
Tell me about it. Tell me what you got from the show tonight and what you could relate to.
well, seriously, as far as relating to anything, I've already had all these experiences. I have felt lost, and not only in two relationships, but it's like I said in the chat room. It's how do I put this? Being with someone and being in love with that person and being with them and worshiping the ground they walk on, and them not loving you back, them isolating you, them moving you to the rear of the class, despite how you feel for them, makes you a lost person. You are all of a sudden giving up. You're giving up a decent part of yourself in order to placate that person into attempting to love you the way you love them. It's one thing after another. It's one catch-22 after another. It's the yin and yang of bullshit's what it is. So, like I said, I used to think that being alone was the worst thing that could happen to me. And then I realized after these relationships were over that being alone wasn't the worst thing. It was being made to feel alone in the middle of one of those relationships. And it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost of your sanity. It comes at a cost of your physical wellness, your mental wellness. And I know, got to take about 19 freaking pills a day. Scotty knows. Scotty knows. Scotty knows.
Scotty does know.
And that's just to keep me sane from going off the deep end and finding myself, every time I get arrested, and Michael probably testify this, I've been arrested 6 times, and every time I was arrested, 13 fucking cops showed up.
Oh,
So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they just don't send one.
They don't just send one, especially if you've got a history. You know what I mean?
And they always say, "Oh, you want to fight? You walk out, throw your hands up." Then they all pull guns. I thought,
Yeah,
fucking
it's like, exactly, you fucking pussy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what I got out of it tonight. I think that I think it's a really good topic that you're doing here, that you're endeavoring to dwell into. At the same time, I don't think everybody has the answers. I think everybody has their own personal experiences, and those personal experiences lead to different conclusions for each individual who has suffered through this kind of bull. So
But
I think
was
there's
gonna-
multiple answers for multiple situations.
Did
It's
you
not
feel-
one answer that fits all.
Sorry, just want to ask, when you felt lost, because I asked this with Scotty, and I'm trying to get this. When you felt lost as a guy, because as a women, obviously, we have different identities as men, as women, but men are supposed to, as I said, in a lot of ways, be the breadwinner in some ways, provide for the family, blah 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 blah, and women with the children, and everything's changing these days. Different role models, different roles that we're playing. When you felt lost, what did that actually do to you and your identity? How did you feel?
It stripped my identity completely.
Mhm.
I found myself having to reinvent myself and reinventing the things that I cared about the most, the things that I knew would become more important. And that did become more important. You have to sit back and take inventory of yourself, from your emotions to your thought processes. So, I mean, I could go into a lot of detail here, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to kind of hit and miss, so I don't have to give away my entire life. But I can tell you this, is that when you find yourself in one of these situations and it comes to a head to the point where you have completely lost your entire identity to the circumstance, and because of someone else's ability to be as hateful and as cruel as possible, even silently, Scotty, that's for you. Even when they're being silent, they can be cruel and they can be dishonest and they can be hurtful. When you hit that wall will fall on your ass and it will
Yep.
take you out. If
It-
you're not prepared for it, you have to endure the pain in order to make yourself tough. It's like in the military. You don't go through physical training because they want you to be a pussy. They want you to be strong and be able to endure what they're going to put you through later on. And believe me, they're going to put you through it.
Adapt and overcome.
Exactly. Adapt, overcome, conquer. So you have or come and get some, as it was. Remember
That's
that?
it.
Come and
Oh,
get
yeah.
some. So
Do you feel in your life as you are right now, because obviously Scotty and I can obviously say that we do feel lost in certain areas of our life,
Yeah.
but do you feel lost where you are in, do you feel like you're on your way, or you're there, or you're just starting it? How do you feel in your life right now?
I think given the circumstances that I'm in at this point, that there's a regrouping that is going on. I can't even hear myself talk. I got my headphones on. A regrouping that is going on in my psyche, emotionally, mentally, physically, getting back in shape. Those Christmas bonnets that you're talking about a while back. You got to get some of that off of you. What'd you call it? What'd you call it? Jiggly bits.
Yeah.
No, wobbly bits. Wobbly bits.
Wobbly bits. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you eat enough of the English candy, you will get the wobbly bits. And yeah, that's what I was going to tell Hawk. It seemed like one day, all of this is like rough and ready. And next day you wake up and it's spelled down in your pajama bottoms. You're like,
It
and-
has.
but I was going to tell you, sitting here listening to some of the stuff you said, it's like you read a chapter of my life, which Wendy knows how bad it went off the rails in 2018. Because I figured if I was going to go out and save the world, you want to talk about being lost. The only way I knew how to deal with things was copious amounts of violence.
Mhm.
Everything was an escalation of violence.
Mhm.
If somebody wanted to come by and kick my dog, I was going to burn their house down.
With
I'm
them
saying?
in it.
Yeah, pretty, you know what I'm saying? It was like a one thing fix all. And I tried the VA Skittles. And I would not reckon, you know what I'm saying? I know people needs the mental health meds. And I'm not saying don't take your medication, Jesus Christ. I know some people need to be medicated that isn't. But I had to go back and do a lot of internal thinking with a lot of help, like from Wendy, and a lot of self-evaluation. And that's like I was telling Scotty, sometimes you got to set back and self-triage. How much emotional damage have I took? How much, things have kicked me in life. And I thought I was dealing with it well, but with my last ex-wife, I thought things was normal because I was so used to operating at such a high threshold of tension and stress in my life that I thought that you were supposed to throw coffee cups to the house and scream for no fucking reason.
Yep.
And I was lost. I was more lost than a fresh lieutenant with a compass. You know what I'm saying? I put it in, you can understand. And the worst part about being lost and not knowing it is you don't know that you need to get back on track because you have no idea you're fucking lost. And I was so lost, stumbling through life, that I thought this is how things are supposed to be. And it wasn't till everything went to shit. And I'm not going to put that out. Anybody who knows. When it went off the rails, it went off the rails bad. Like really bad.
Can I inject something?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I hear
Okay.
you. Interject.
All right. Everybody wake up. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me give you a piece of history here. When everything went off the rails for me, I didn't know it was going off the rails. I was not diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, which led to bipolarism because I went so long without it. This is a normal thing. This happens. The next thing you know, you're exaggerating everything in your brain. You're telling yourself, I can take on the entire world and kick ass and take names and get away with it. I can do this. I can do that. You start lying to yourself. And the one thing that you become the quickest is narcissistic.
Oh, yeah.
You become a
Absolutely.
narcissist on so many different levels because everything all of a sudden revolves around you. You cannot take any type of condemnation. You cannot take any criticism. You can't do that because the first thing that's going to happen, as you know, is you're going to lash back out at people. You're going to lash out because you can't be wrong. That is my experience. That is a lot of my experience because for 5, maybe 6 years prior to being diagnosed, I had no idea that I had become a complete and total fuckface of a human being and did not care about anybody but myself, period. That's the ultimate being lost.
That's it.
That's when you have no idea you are lost.
Yeah,
You get what I'm saying?
That's like I said. I was so far off the path, I didn't even know that I was off the path. And I don't get it. I used to tease people. I put the P in prick. If you want to meet a prick, I can show them to. And that's what I tell people now. Please don't make me revert back to the guy that I put to bed.
That's a choice, though. That is a choice.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No,
and now I'm going to get violent because, like I said, she's put a lot of time and effort into. And some days, and I don't know, you're kind of new, but with the PTSD, you got to watch your triggers. And sometimes you get triggered and get re-lost after you found your way. And it was one Sunday morning, and I got up and opened the door, and I was trying to get my coffee, and somebody started their shit. And it was like, I had my coffee cup up about halfway. I hadn't even got a drink of coffee. And I was like, you got to be fucking shitting me. And I'll tell you what, if I'd have got my hands on them, I'd have choked them out. And it was just at 10 o'clock in the morning. It was like, I told you don't come here. I told you not to do that. If you do come here, I'd rather you not. and you're going to disrespect me. And I'm like, hell no. And I think I messaged Wendy, and she's like, no, just take a breath, breathe. I'm thinking, I'm going to be the only one left breathing right now if they don't go on and fuck off. But like I said, but with the PTSD and the CTE and stuff, you know, people don't realize that it takes a lot to keep somebody from getting off the path and being lost. And if they're fighting to stay, you know, like I always said, you know, you got to keep your compass needle true north. And if you're on that, and a lot of people will come in from out of the side of it and try to divert you off of your path of choosing. And they don't even know what the consequences could be for their self and their mental and physical health if they push somebody off that path.
Can I just interject there, because I had a conversation with Mark last week, and Mark said to me, you know what, Wendy, you know, you forgot, you're here, you're there, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're helping everybody, you're trying to, you've lost yourself somewhere in the middle of all that, and now you need to take this time to actually go, this is my time as well. I need to do this. I need to do this for me, because I think sometimes it can feel selfish to actually take a chosen path. It can feel selfish to actually take a decision that is going to ultimately affect other people in some ways. And you may feel guilty for actually making that decision. And, you know, he kind of had a very nice sort of like protectively way of saying, you got to do this. And that's why I'm saying, you know, I think it's sometimes the hardest thing to do is to choose a better, Mandy feels a lot better about herself after listening to you guys. I'm not sure about that. End of the day, what I'm trying to say is, like, listening to it, we're all four of us coming from very different angles, and we're putting, what we're doing is showing those that are watching it, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, next year, whenever they watch this show, that you can feel out of control. You don't know which way to go. You don't know which side of the roundabout to get off. You might lose yourself completely. You might think, I'm scared to make that decision, because if I make that and it all fucks up and I lose everything, then I've lost everything. Everything in life is a gamble. It either works or it doesn't. And if you don't try, you'll never know. But sometimes actually taking that first step, because you might be out of anxiety, you might have PTSD, you might be too scared, you might not have the money, all of these reasons that are out there. At the end of the day, the only person you truly answer to is yourself and your conscience. And I think, you know, don't lose yourself trying to keep what isn't meant for you. So I hope by this show tonight, because I want to bring it to a close in the next 5 minutes, people have learned and learned something from us. And I just want to finish with saying, looking at the week to come, hopefully Val will be back next Sunday. I've got to remember, next Sunday. But we have an amazing show next Sunday. Michael and I are quite excited, and I do not have the graphic.
We're done in 5 minutes.
Next Sunday we have the amazing Paul Allen with us, and I ask everybody to go to his YouTube channel at Unusual Things and see the amazing work he does. He's an interesting guy. He's an ex-military guy like yourselves. He is fascinating, and I'm really looking forward to. And I think you guys will like him. If you liked Mark, you'll definitely like Paul. And he's quite easy on the eye, so the girlies will like him. So Paul will be with us next Sunday at 9 o'clock. So please join us for that. It's going to be fun, eh, Michael? I
was going to say, he's all the things. He speaks articulate, which I'm not. I'm all over the place. You know what I'm saying? If I started watching like a few of his videos, I was going to like do some pre-show prep. Next thing you know, I'm watching like 3 years worth of videos that this man's done. I'm like,
he's really good.
You know, and you know, with British accent or whatever, and his storytelling about how he remembers like the celebrity graves or the victims of something tragic. And I'm like, holy shit, you know, he's really impressed, you know what I'm saying? And just the way he carries himself, you know, the whole package. Like I said, the women will look, because like I said, he walks well, he dresses nice, he talks nice.
Very cool.
He is, and I'm like,
he's very cool. So Paul will be with us next Sunday. Val hopefully will be back with us next Sunday. Please, you know, join Wicked Women 888 on Facebook, our page. If you haven't joined it, please find us. You can just type it in at Wicked Women 888. You will find our page, as well as Roberts Robertson, the new era. You can find that as well. You can find Wicked Women on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and very soon to come. And as I said, I won't reveal it yet because it's not finished. Very soon to come is the web page as well, which we've been waiting so long, and she's in the process of being created, and eventually when she's done, we will have it up for you guys, and there will be lots of interesting things as well. So Scotty, I look forward to seeing you on Thursday.
I look forward to seeing you on Thursday as well.
Thank you so much for
And
joining us.
any time between now and then.
I meant professionally.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Professionally. Michael, as usual, it's always a pleasure. And thanks so much for keeping, Val's seat warm, which hopefully she will be back next week too.
I just don't have the cleavage that Val does. I apologize.
No, you don't.
I don't have the cleavage.
And to Hawk, thank you so much for joining us and for giving us your experiences of feeling lost as well. It means a lot.
No problem. I've enjoyed it. I'll look forward to doing it again one day.
And may I say, this wonderful man is creating the Wicked Women webpage alongside myself. So I have to say a really big thank you to him, because he's doing an amazing job. And plus, I can't really show it. I don't know if it's actually going to work. It probably won't work on this. But if I try and play this, you can see it behind. It's not good enough for this yet, but we're sort of playing around with things right now for Wicked Women. So
I thought you were going to put my picture up there. I was going like, oh no.
No, you told me not to. So thank you so much. And listen, everyone, come back next week. Sunday, 9 o'clock. Let me get this right. Michael, you do the times. You're much better.
It's, let me see. 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock. Central, 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock Mountain, 1 o'clock Pacific. Yeah.
2 o'clock Mountain, 3 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Pacific. And I'm over here.
I used to remember it good. They should move it back an hour. Yeah.
Not yet.
Yeah.
With the end of March.
Because we used to be on 5 o'clock Eastern, and now it's 4 o'clock.
But now it's definitely staying. From after the 2 weeks after that, after next week's show, I will be in Canada. There will be a show. It will might look a bit different, but there will be a show because I'll be coming from Canadian shores, which is really exciting. Can't wait. So please come and watch Robertson on Thursday. It's going to be coming either from the Wicked Women studio 1 week, and it will be coming from Scottish studio the following week. We're only coming in twice a month, every other Thursday. As I said, I will open the show from Wicked Women, and then Scotty will do the following week from his lovely cabin. So that's a Thursday now, to put that in your diary. 2 days a week. And also next Sunday, come back and join us. Let me find my music. I hope everyone's had a good time and have a really, really good week. Bear with me, you guys. Hang on a second. Where's my music gone? There it is. All right, guys. Talk to you soon.